What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th&15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie, Big Smooth Hennigan. Smooth, what's up, man?
Sorry, I'm having some difficulty with the phone, man. Sorry about that. It's all good, man. Hey, y'all. I'm doing great, Mel. Just looking forward to the show. Glad to have our guest on here, man. I'm just so excited to, get into it, talk about our topics, and kind of go from there. What's good with you?
Uh, Trying to figure out the NFL and why things are weird now, and it's probably more than likely got to do with this 17th game because I just watched the San Francisco Los Angeles game, and clearly I missed the memo where you could lose the game but still win the division. So
Right.
obviously, Roger Goodell is up here creating a lot of controversy and creating catastrophes around here. But aside from that, speaking of catastrophes, we have the pleasure of welcoming three of the most dangerous soccer players in the world of arena soccer in Admir Suljevic, slinging Sammy Mutemwa, and the silent assassin Mikey Derezic. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Admir. How did you get into soccer, and what led you to the Crunch?
Basically, when I used to live in Germany, that's all they played over there was soccer. So that's the only sport I knew growing up. From there, came to the States, grew up playing soccer, and when I heard the Crunch was coming back, Luciano reached out to me, see if I wanted to play, and of course I was up for it.
All right, Mike, I'm going to ask you the same question because you're one of the most loved and hated members of the Crunch, depending on who you ask. And most times you ask the other team, they pretty much don't really like the way you play because they can't stop you. But
yeah,
how did you get with the Crunch?
So actually, my first love sport-wise was hockey, and I wanted to play hockey when I was younger. Never really got into it. I wasn't really good skating, so my dad asked me if I wanted to try soccer, and that's kind of how I got into soccer. Actually, that's exactly how I met Admir. We were like around 6-7 years old when we met each other, and then with the Crunch, basically Admir reached out to me, said one of the owners, Luciano, contacted him, and here we are today.
All right, and Sammy.
Oh,
I'm coming to you.
Yeah, so I was born in Zambia, raised in South Africa. I used to suck at soccer.
Really? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I was a terrible player. And I used to be so bad that other players would argue on who was going to have me. That's how bad I was, So, and then my dad, he asked me a simple question, and he just asked me by my own admission. I came to terms that I sucked. So he was like, Sam, do you think you're good? And I was like, no. And then he was like, oh, so you think, you're just going to go out there and be good? Long story short, my dad took me, started training, started watching Zinedine Zidane, started emulating him. And after that, I was just addicted. I was moving around with the ball everywhere. Like I'm walking in the kitchen, I'm walking in the dining room, everywhere. And then, came to America on a scholarship, met Admir. I actually met Admir first, and Yanchi Golden, unfortunately not part of the team, right? And
nice.
And from there, we've just always had that connection. We started playing indoor soccer. We won. Remember that one tournament that we won with all the MLS players that came? Yeah. And so, like, because we had that connection, and we've been playing together since I came in 2010. He also reached out to me, told me, like, the Crunch is coming back, and that's what it was. You're looking at the instigator right there. Admir.
So Admir's the instigator. What are you, the escalator? Like,
come on, man.
Hey, look, man. As soccer fans, Ronnie will tell you this. I've never This version of the crunch, honestly, yes, the original OG version won 3 titles, but they had the toughness, but they didn't have this type of excitement. There was
No.
always some type of, we're gonna win. You might as well just make it easy on yourselves. You guys, you come in with not only the swag, the attitude, the toughness. That's scary looking at the games play out the way that they do. Like let's look at reality here. You guys averaged 12 and a half goals a game last year. And in a shortened season, I can only imagine what a full season would have looked like with you guys lined up every weekend. Like that's scary to think about. You had the highest scoring offense, the second best defense in terms of goals allowed. You put that into perspective. That's creepy. Like if I'm a soccer player, I'm like, look, I see y'all next week when we play somebody I know we can beat. But that's just me because my soccer days is behind me. I know I stink.
Yeah, yo, Mel, I agree with you completely. With the offensive thing, I won't lie to you, Mikey. Woo, man. Yeah, man, it was awesome having you on the team and playing with you. It's always a pleasure. But not having you this time around was also like, oh, you were missed a lot, man. Just had to throw it out there, Mel.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
You know what? I missed Mike as well, but last night, Friday night rather, it did make a difference because you end up having the best goal of the night, if you ask me. I mean, I never saw somebody score from outside the box so effortlessly, and the guy guarding you is like, what he literally, after you score, he literally looks at his sideline like, what do you do? Like, how do you defend that? I see y'all at practice sometimes. I'm like, man, if I'm the other team, I'm not even taking. I'll see y'all next week.
Yo, stop! You always hype me up, man. Stop. And it's
live, you lucky.
Too.
To be honest, you lucky Blackwood's not here because like Blackwood is built like. What did you say he was built like? Ronnie said he was built like a free safety.
He was though.
Like, he's gonna be even bigger when he comes back from Jamaica now.
No, man. He don't need to be no bigger, dude. I seen him plow somebody into the glass. That was rude. But I do have to ask, 2021, you guys come back and expectations through the league, expectations are not high, but within the team, expectations are super high. And you guys win the division. You win the Great Lakes tournament, and then you end up mowing through everybody in the playoffs and win the title. What was that like for you guys, just being back in your first year?
Who wants to answer that one?
Who wants it?
Mikey, go ahead. You can have it.
Come on, Admir.
All right, so basically, like, our expectations, I think they weren't too high. They were basically for us to just get to playoffs in the beginning. We all knew each other, so it was good camaraderie right off the bat. We hold each other to a high standard, but we didn't really know what to expect from other teams, what they brought to the table. They've been playing in the league with boards a lot more than us. So I think our expectations in the beginning were just to make the playoffs. And then once we started rolling, I think, I think the expectations were amongst ourselves was to bring that cup back home with us, and which we ultimately did.
Yeah.
What do you guys agree or disagree? I don't know.
Smooth. Is everything okay? I saw Mel went off for a little bit.
Oh, we good.
Yeah, gotcha.
I got a crappy connection.
Yeah,
I was having some issues myself, man.
I think I would agree with him the same way. We came into we didn't know what who we were gonna play or what kind of competition was gonna be. But as we played one or two games, we kind of felt it that every team was, we were better than most teams. So we knew it right off the bat. So every time we came into a game, we didn't overthink anything. We just played hard and did the best we could, and we pretty much beat every single team we played.
I agree with both of them. And the beautiful thing about having Admir and Mikey together, right? They put so much pressure, not just on the other team, but on us, like on their teammates as individuals too. If you mess up, they're gonna let you know. You know,
Man,
if you play
that's the
like
best
that,
part.
oh, they're gonna
I
let
can
you know.
believe that.
You
I can
know.
believe that because you hardly ever like during game time. I'll say during game time, you hardly ever see Mike smile. Like you hardly ever see it
He's always
ever.
telling.
Yeah,
Might be some coaching in your future, then, man. It sounds like.
Man, if he coach, I guarantee that team is going to be dominant for like 20 years.
Yeah,
Or
it's just passion.
he won't even have to coach. He'll just have to look. He just have to look at one of the whoever messed up. He just go and they just gonna be like, I ain't going back. I'm not going back to the sideline, man. You
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's
but
just
I
passion. It's all out of love.
and it's that communication also, like you're saying. He just has to look. That nonverbal communication comes into play, and then it's like putting pressure on a person to perform at their level best, holding each other to a high standard. That's what they constantly keep on doing. And I always tell the kids that I coach that communication is important. The way they
it is.
communicate, yeah, it's super important. So having teammates like that, and then facing the teams that we faced, and they, like Mikey will tell me, like, hey, those guys are terrible. They got nothing on you. You're the man, right? And then Admir is like, just take them on. Take them on. And then
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it rouses that morale, rises that morale, increases the morale, in myself. Yeah,
But
so I agree with them completely.
I do have to ask, even though the team lost a couple guys, was it hard for during training camp and the off season? Was it hard to build up the chemistry again?
I'd say anytime somebody new comes into, and not knowing what we already have, they're under so much pressure. We've got these new guys, and I feel as if though they feel a lot more pressure because they're not part of that winning team right now. But they're doing the best that they can. I don't know if Admir can or Mikey can answer it better, but yeah.
I mean, it's not easy for anybody new that comes into any team, whether you're in high school going to a new college team or whatever it is. When you're changing teams and coming into a winning team, obviously you're going to be nervous. You're going, until you kind of gel into it. And the guys that are originally there, it's not going to be easy to just, they don't just accept you right away. You got to perform, show your worth. And then, when you do, you get, as a new guy, you get confidence and they play better and better each time. And the new guys have been doing well. There's a few guys stepped in, and we've had a few guys gone. Obviously, Mikey, Blackwood, McCain, a couple of guys missed some games, and the guys that stepped in, they did well this past weekend.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now,
Cool.
for me, because I'm the one that usually will throw out some of the random stuff that you don't expect. So with you guys and your success and what you've been able to do previous season, and also what we look forward to with the upcoming season, kind of walk us through some pregame rituals. You have anything that you use to kind of get ready to get you in the zone, man, to get you there, ready to perform? Like, what's some things that you guys can talk about individually that you do to kind of get your mindset there ready for those games?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, Sammy, go
ahead. With me, everybody gets nervous. I believe, at least I believe everybody gets nervous, and they all have coping mechanisms. For me, I always tell myself, remember the basics and constantly keep on playing it in my head. Like, don't go out wanting to do skill immediately, like, oh, calm down, get some passes. And then I keep on reminding myself, control, look up, pass the ball. Control, look up, pass the ball. And I was like, I don't care who it is that you face against. If you can do these simple things, pass the ball, create space. That's it. And I constantly replay it in my mind before I play a game. That's my ritual, at least. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think mine would be, every new arena that we walk into, obviously every arena is new to us. So, to walk the field, kind of kind of get a feel of what the field's like, the turf's like, how close the goals are, how big the goals are. Talk about it with other teammates. Just it's conversation, it's communication within the group of guys that you're with, whoever's on that traveling roster. And yeah, it would just be walking the arena and getting used to it.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Same for me. Walk around a little bit, see the pitch, talk to the boys in the locker room a little bit, get everybody going, and focus on the game as fast as we can to get in the zone.
Yeah. You guys get off to a great start. So I want to know because Coach Costello is the older version of Mike, apparently, because he don't smile either. Even when y'all win, he don't smile. But what's it like playing for Coach Costello and knowing that he's going to give you the same drive and motivation that was used for him? So what's that like in the locker room?
I'll start, I guess. This time we'll go backwards. Lewis is he's coached us before. We had some kind of indoor team a few years ago where it didn't really work out, but when he came in the crunch, he fit in right away. He knew most of the guys, and it was just like we hold each other accountable. He holds us accountable the same way. He pushes us, and he keeps telling us, hey, we go quarter by quarter. We don't look past it. We win. That's an easy win because you could have 5 minutes to go, and you could be up 5, and within 5 minutes they score 4 goals. So keeps us, because most of us are older, but he just keeps us focused. Sometimes we stop playing or we focus on something else, and when we do that, he's there to kind of guide us back in the right direction.
That I can respect that, because like it just seems like you guys are an on-field reflection of Lewis, and that's
right.
That as a coach, that is ideally what you would want, because that shows that the players are attentive and they trust you. And the biggest thing for a coach, in my personal opinion, is that the players trust you and trust what you're teaching. So
yeah, I agree.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, I have to ask this question because I'm still mad about it and I wasn't even there. The Chicago games are coming up within like the next few weeks. Are you guys still mad about that 9-8 game in Chicago?
Livid.
Wow. Yeah, like
livid.
Have to bring it back. I completely forgot. I was like, what's he gonna speak about right now?
No, I have not forgot. I'm gonna be honest. I have not forgot about that game because one, it's Chicago, and only thing I can honestly say I love about Chicago is the food. But as a former player, I know what it's like to play in Chicago, and it's worse than playing in Pennsylvania. Let's just be honest. To me, I know it's different sports, but to me, the trash and the referees and the people, sports wise, are all the same. It's like playing in Pennsylvania. You're not getting no calls. You're not getting no respect. I just wanted to know, what are you guys still mad about that? And what's this series of games going to be like this season?
Mel, I feel like you're an instigator. I'm
not instigating. Whoa.
Man, he's getting us aroused up. Like, oh my goodness. Like, oh yeah, that did.
Hey,
that
this is. I was watching that game. Let's be clear. We're journalists. We ask what people are not going to ask. I sat there and I watched that game. I saw a lot of dirty plays. I saw a lot of things that should have been called that weren't called. So in my head, as a player, if that happens to us, I'm telling my teammate, hey man, aim for one of the refs. He ain't gonna see it. Just run right past him. Just run right past him. Run right behind him. I'll get him to turn his head. You just bow one time. Especially in overtime. Like I saw the handball. I saw the push. I saw the push on Blackwood. Then I saw the push on I believe it was McCain. And I'm just like, yo, I get it, but do y'all realize? And this happens even in NFL, NBA. I'm like, do y'all realize people are watching this and they can see it? It's not like there are no cameras.
Right.
Like it's not like it's the film guy doing this. This is either streamed, it's on regional TV, it's on national TV. We all saw it. How do you miss that?
Right.
And I'm like, this is gonna lead to something bad for Chicago. And lo and behold, it did. You guys ended up winning the Great Lakes tournament. You pretty much smoked them the rest of the season, and then y'all won the championship. So I'm just asking, is this season gonna look like last season, or should we expect something different?
Oh man, you should expect something different all the time, especially given that history of playing in their home turf, on their home turf, and then not getting calls, right? So our whole mentality is definitely going to be different, And we were missing a few players. Remember?
Yeah, that played a big part in it too. Yeah, but so Ronnie, just to be fair, I'm telling you, playing in Chicago is terrible. Like, I was literally checking with Eric, like, where are they sending y'all? Are they sending y'all here? Are they sending y'all here? And he's like, oh no, they're sending us here. I'm like, I've never even heard of that place. Get there. I turned the game on. This place looked like the worst soccer field you ever played on.
Oh man.
Oh, it's terrible.
Like, because like when I was like, think about this. When I was playing arena ball, they used to tell us, if you got to go to Chicago, do not play here. It was either the Odeon or somewhere else. And I remember, I think it was the Blitz this time. The Blitz ended up playing in the Odeon, and that is like the worst arena out of all of the arenas in Chicago. This is hands down the worst. Like, whoever built this had to be drunk.
Oh wow.
Okay, like, we're playing arena football, so it's different for you guys playing soccer, but you still got to kick the ball at some point. And the way this arena is built, it's built like this, but instead of facing it this way, so you can kick kickoffs, you can kick long field goals. It stayed like this, so every kickoff is bouncing off the roof. And I'm pretty sure some soccer team has some iteration of the Mustangs or whoever has played there, because the turf that they had still had a soccer emblem at midfield. So I know it was a soccer turf. And I was just like, yo, this has got to be like, who built this? It's not even the people.
To be fair, I have to add this. Like, as bad as people think it is, it was, I think, one of the most authentic soccer, authentic soccer places that we had, to be honest. It's like, they've got a whole bunch of a Hispanic community, and the Hispanic community, they grow up playing that, so they actually brought that energy and that vibe,
Oh man,
so I'll give them a little credit. Come on, you got to.
I gave them credit. I gave them credit only because of the commentary. The commentary was on point. Like, oh, yeah. I don't know who this dude was, but you could tell he had been calling soccer games for quite some time. Yeah, because he was non-biased. That was the best part about it. He was non-biased. So I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And then he was animated. Like, every time anybody scored, it was "Esa golazo by such and such." I told you guys, you got to be careful with Cleveland. And when you first hear him, like, when you go back and watch it, man. It's hilarious. Like, when you first watch it, I thought it was Sammy Sosa just bored calling a soccer game. And I'm like, no, that ain't Sammy. That's somebody who played soccer. But it was still entertaining, so I will give Chicago credit for that. But I just love the rivalry between Cleveland and Chicago in any sport, because it's authentic, it's genuine. Both working class cities. Chicago's more thug than we are at this point in the game, but that's okay. But sports wise, it's always been there, and that's what I appreciated about last season. I was like, man, we ain't seen a good Cleveland-Chicago rivalry in years. And to see you guys going back and forth for Chicago, that was just awesome.
That's dope. I'm glad you actually said something about that. Their owner, although we are rivals, he also came to support us. Remember the finals?
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He showed up to the finals?
Yeah, he showed up to the final. He celebrated with us. He shook. He shook our hands.
Good dude.
He's a good dude. But that
I would have never thought. Honestly, I would have never thought.
Yeah.
Because every time, you know what? The last time I was in Chicago, that was my last arena game, and my last away game, and they never. Anytime I've ever been to Chicago to play, they never gave us any type of courtesy. And this particular year, they gave us a chiropractor before the game.
Ooh.
That's what I said. We never we had our own trainer. We had everything that we needed as a team, but being in a game, being in a sport where they paint the locker rooms pink just because they don't like you. They play children's music at pregame, things of this nature, just because they hate you. It's not even a psychological thing. It's because they hate you. This time they finally gave us a chiropractor. We lost, but I was just so happy that they finally gave us something. I had to go over and shake the coach hand. I'm like, man, coach, I appreciate you, man. You've done so much for us already.
That's awesome.
They never, in all my years of playing, every time I went to Chicago, never got nothing. You got your own trainer, you figure it out. This year, I'm retiring. We get a chiropractor. Go figure.
Gotta go on top.
Yeah, I'm glad I did too. That game, we got beat. I think it was like 50-10. And then
not to publicize such information, man.
Hey man, look, I'm retired now. It don't hurt no more. Hey, that's the thing. When you retire, you get to look back on it and laugh. When you're still playing, it's like, man, I don't even bring that up. But now, I don't even care. But it was just something. It was nice to go out like that. It was hands down the best gesture by Chicago I'd ever gotten.
That's sweet.
Now, something else I want to ask you guys too is, could each of you give me what were your favorite moments from last season? And this is outside of winning the championship.
Oh
wow! I didn't think
tough.
about that.
I think it was just the practices.
That was your favorite moments?
Yeah, I think it was just all the practices. It was our first year. You didn't really know what to expect, but everyone was showing up, taking it day by day. I think that's just my favorite memory, is just like getting all the guys together with the practices and just joking around, talking about the previous game, talking about the upcoming opponent. I think that's just my favorite thing, just getting the guys together.
I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall at them practices. Hey, it's like, hey, y'all see Omaha coming in, right? Y'all know they suck, right? Yeah, we about to handle this. This game gonna be over before halftime, and I believe it was.
Yeah. I think for me it was just knowing that that we do have training, we have a big game on the weekend, or knowing that we're still able to play, and have the opportunity to travel and with the guys and get more camaraderie with each other. I think that's my favorite thing to this day, is to just be with the guys and enjoy it, while I can still.
I got so many moments. One was Mikey arguing with the lady on the side.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, see, this is what I was.
Wait. When was? I missed this. When was this?
Sir, and then he got a yellow card. I was like, what?
Yeah, that was.
Wait. I didn't answer. I need the story behind this one.
Yeah,
This is interesting.
Yeah.
So it was the final, and I got whacked, and it hurt. So I'm on the ground. I'm grabbing my ankle, and this lady yells on the sideline. She yells. She goes, he needs a tampon. Okay, so that bothered me. Okay, that bothered me. So I got up, And I went up to her. I'm like, hey, did you just say that to me? I was being polite. And she goes, yeah, I did. And I go, okay. I said, where are your kids? And she points to her kids. I go, okay, so you have kids. I said, would you want someone telling that to your kid? And she looked at me and she said, no. She goes, but you still need a tampon. And I said, you're a terrible mother.
Wow.
Yep. I got a yellow for it.
How did you get a yellow card for that?
You can't talk to the fans.
What? They can talk to you. Why can't you?
I guess you're just not allowed to. I don't know.
Right?
Man,
I got in trouble.
Literally, I've been a part of games where fans have thrown beer at us.
Man.
You get a yellow card for telling her she was a terrible parent. For telling.
I will say this though. She stayed after we celebrated. She stayed after. I think Sammy. I think she was talking to you and you called me over.
Yeah.
So we did hug. We apologized to each other. Everything was cool. So,
Right.
But at the moment, no, there was no coolness.
During the game, after the game, you're all
Hey,
good.
on some realness, I'm gonna be honest with you. I probably would have held a grudge for that one because you got me flagged.
Right.
Like it's okay to jump back and forth, but once you get me in trouble for real, like I gotta throw a ball at you or something.
Right. Yeah, but my
Oh
favorite,
man,
my favorite and final memory was
get you a yellow card off of that?
besides that yellow card. My favorite memories were just the fans. Having fans, like little kids coming up to you and like, oh, will you sign this? Will you sign this? You know, making a difference in a little kid's soccer memory. You know, if they play soccer, you know, I know some of them I coach too. So just seeing them, I was just like, yo, I have to perform. Yo, I better not mess up. I coach these kids all the time. So favorite memories, Mikey getting a yellow card and the fans.
Oh man, I don't agree with that call. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't. How do you get a yellow card for talking to a fan? I can see if you hit like a Ron Artest or a Dennis Rodman, but just talking to the lady.
Right. We were away, so we were playing the home team in the finals. So
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Admir, you weren't better. So anyway, so I get a yellow card. He yells at me. Okay, Admir's yelling at me. Okay, and then he ends up getting a red card. So.
Oh yeah.
For what?
Wow.
We're talking back to the ref.
Oh, I remember that. It was. I thought it was a bad. I think it was the bad call.
No, because
Mikey
the guy flipped Mikey, and Mikey started bleeding out of his nose and stuff like that. And I was freaking out on the ref, and then it just escalated from there. DJ got thrown out before that, right before.
Well, I mean, these are all legit gripes. Like this is stuff that you gotta argue about. It's not like you said, hey man, I don't agree with where he's standing. Like you flip somebody and they bust their head open. Yeah, you gotta call that, or you should anyway. But
yeah, that was a scary moment, don't lie. Yeah,
man. Yeah, I'd have yelled at, hey man, I tell you, man, we take a shot at the ref, man. I'm telling you.
Back to the
and some of y'all are accurate kickers, so I'd have just told, hey man, aim for the ref's head. Just kick it. I'm gonna make sure he don't move. But maybe that's just me. Quick update for those that care. In the NFL, the last game of the regular season between the Chargers and the Raiders. The Raiders are up 3-0. It's 9-11 to go in the first. Interesting scenario there, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, I do gotta. This weekend coming up, you got Muskegon coming in. You already stopped them. It wasn't close. That score does not signify what the game really looked like. Like they were up 2, then it was a 4-0 run by you guys, and then you just took control of the game from there. Now, I'm under the assumption the team is going to be at full strength this weekend. What are your expectations welcoming Muskegon in for the home opener? What are the overall night? What are the expectations for you guys?
We should roll them. Plain simple.
Enough said. Enough said.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Don't go with that. Yeah, man.
But to be fair, but it's not Muskegon's fault. I just know there's nothing to do in Michigan, so everybody's got to play some type of sport.
Oh wow.
I've been to Michigan too, man. Hey, that team up north gets lucky. Everybody thinks they can win, but
yo, you're gonna get us in trouble, man. Like, the other team's gonna be watching this, and then they're gonna be like, "This is what they said." Oh, and now they're gonna come on fire, huh?
Man, ain't nobody worry about Muskegon. Hey, I made the trip up there last year when you guys were playing. I think it was still the Great Lakes tournament, and y'all end up beating Chicago 14-2. So it's a great arena. It's a great arena, but 5 people was there besides me, my family. So whatever. But it's just you got to be fair, and I am being fair. Muskegon's not a bad team, but when you're playing a team such as you guys, you have speed, you have Blackwood, who's built like a linebacker and can run, and you got Beck and Jordan. You got a lot of veteran experience. You got a lot of speed. You got a lot of talent. It's like the playing field is not really in their favor, and it's not their fault. It's just this is how the crunch is built. Now, when Chicago comes in, or when you get to Chicago, it'll be a different story. Or when you won't see Wichita this year, but it had the little blue-haired Sonic-looking dude. What was his name? Chi-Chi or Ochi or something like that. But whatever the case is, this is the level of this. I'm not gonna say this division, but this is the level that you guys are on, and I'm gonna be there. We're gonna be in attendance for this game, so I'm just wondering, with the increased capacity, what this game is gonna look like on the home opening night.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but all I know, like Mikey said, we just ready to. What did you say, Mikey? I don't
roll them.
Yeah, not my words.
I think we're a very balanced team. Like you said, we have speed, we have strength and talent, and when you have that on not maybe even more than 2 lines, a team you play 2 lines, and then you even maybe have one more line that actually balances all that out. It's tough to beat.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then the last thing, I saw the new uniforms. I like them.
Yeah.
So what? I know I asked Eric this, but he still hasn't given me an answer. When is the throwback coming back, man? We need a throwback.
We don't know. We don't know anything. We just the players.
I think y'all holding out. Somebody knows something. Y'all holding out.
Yeah.
All right. One more update. We did get some soccer scores from earlier today. Juventus beats AS Roma 4-3 in final time. Inter Milan beats Lazio 2-1 in the Italian Series A. So European soccer is kicking back up, and it's looking like a lot of people are going to have some issues, especially when they go see Juventus, because Juventus came from behind in that game. So,
oh wow, that's tough.
Yeah, and I'm hoping I'm just hoping that the U.S. national team, the men's side, can actually get something going this time around, because we ain't had a lot to talk about from that. And this is why I stick to MLS and MASL soccer, because clearly, looking at the U.S. team, I have no hope.
Hey, thanks, Mel. Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to leave.
Oh, it's fine, man. It's fine.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time.
No problem, man. Thank you guys for being on. Thank you for being on, man. Thank you for being on.
having us, man.
Smooth. It was nice.
before we let you guys go, I have to do January 15th. I believe that's a Saturday night. January 15th, the Muskegon Risers will be coming into town to play the Crunch. Tickets are on sale at theclevelandcrunch.com, or you can probably find one of these guys out in the city and ask them for some tickets. I don't know. But that is what is that? 7 p.m. game, 7 p.m. kickoff,
Yep.
I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. So 7 p.m. Cleveland versus Muskegon at the Soccerplex in North Olmsted. So get your tickets now, because with the increased capacity, I can guarantee you that game is going to be sold out by Thursday.
Sweet.
All right.
Thanks for the shout out. Take care, y'all.
I
Yep.
appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
All right. And that was the Cleveland Crunch getting ready for Saturday night. So back to this. We're going to talk to NBA real quick, because surprisingly, the Cavs are still doing well.
Man,
The Cavs are still doing well. They're actually playing the Warriors as we speak. Game just kicked off. It is 8-4 in favor of Cleveland at the moment, but with Steph Curry shooting from his mama house, you never know how this game can turn out. But aside from that, like I said, the Cavs are still doing good. They're still in the top. I think it's the top 5
mm-hmm.
in the conference, not the division, in the conference, and they don't look like they're letting up. They got Rondo in a trade after losing Rubio and was it Garland or Sexton? I think it was Sexton.
It was Sexton. Yeah, so
Okay.
so Sexton went out first, and then people were kind of unsure because you had Rubio, who we weren't sure how it was going to play out since he was new to the team. And then, of course, Garland trying to find his way, because usually him and Sexton are more like a dynamic duo.
Right.
So you take one away, it's kind of like, okay, well, what's your identity, right? So having those two guys around, how they came about and how they figured out how to get that synergy going was like, wow. And the thing is about the Cavs, man, this whole season, they were literally averaging like 28 points in the first quarter. So they're coming out the gate like busting on people. And I'm thinking, okay, so this is different. I'm not used to seeing the Cavs, averaging 28, 30 points a quarter.
Thought
First
they
of
was
all,
gonna screw it up this year.
Yeah, for sure, man. And to see them up like 60-something points to the half, it's like, what is this? And I think the cool part about it, though, Mel, is the fact that these are guys who have come together and said, look, us individually, some folks might look at and try to say, okay, what are you guys about? I don't know much about this guy or this guy or this guy. This guy's up and coming. You got someone like maybe Kevin Love people know about or whatever. But in the grand scheme of it all, it's just a complete team.
Right. Right.
It's not just one big player that is overshadowing everybody. It's amazing.
And speaking, but here's the interesting part. Speaking of overshadowing, and I know you've read somewhere, I know you've heard somewhere about this as I have. There are rumors, and we can only say that they're rumors because from all of my research, I have not been able to confirm this. LeBron, even though LeBron is playing out of his mind, there has been a rumor from an NBA executive saying that LeBron is better off in Cleveland at this point than he is in LA. Now, even though this is just speculation, because we cannot prove it, even though this is just speculation, do you think, and I'm asking you this, do you think maybe a move is made next year for LeBron to come back, or LeBron makes this move on his own?
I think that if it does happen, it's a move that he makes on his own. I know that with the different deals he has set up with what he's trying to do outside of basketball, and considering like where he's, enrolled his son to play and stuff like that, is a big deciding factor. But I definitely could see like that happen if he makes that move. I don't think LA is going to be willing to do it at all. You know what I mean? Or he could be asked to be, moved or whatever. I think it would definitely have to come from him.
Well, also let's look at reality too. Like I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with this, but
Mm-hmm.
let's put this into perspective. Also, the Westbrook deal
Mm-hmm.
is not really working out like everybody thought it would.
Oh no, it's too much. Too much on that team,
Yeah,
man.
and I get it. I believe me, I get it. On paper, that sounds like a dog team. Like people are going to be getting beat on every night, but it doesn't work
Mm-hmm.
like that in the NBA. You're playing every other night. Your body doesn't get a real chance to heal because right after the game, you're traveling or maybe taking the night off and then getting back up to travel. So, you know, this deal, I get it. It's year one of this deal, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't look like the chemistry is there. It doesn't look like LeBron and AD and Westbrook are gelling together. Not to mention they're missing half of their bench because of this deal. So
Yeah.
I'm just like I said, even though it's just speculation, it's never been a confirmed who that was that said it. I'm just thinking, what does this do for next year, and how does this play out? Because if that is the case, and LeBron really ain't happy, what kind of moves are going to be made by LeBron, by the Lakers, by the Cavs with the team in place? Do they gut the team again, or do they keep the team in place and tell LeBron he's going to have to do this on his own?
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, it's just too much, in one area. Because you figure, like to your point, everybody thought that Westbrook was going to work out as far as how that deal went and how good they're going to be on paper, right, respectively. But then the whole dynamic that they had, that was all between AD and LeBron, and then primarily whoever was left on the bench or coming off of it, and
Right,
that's what won them that championship. But when you look at it now, and you add Westbrook and you add Carmelo Anthony, like here's my thing: Melo and Westbrook got their own thing already,
hmm
So when they were together, right, and they were playing, in OKC, and then all of a sudden you bring these two back together, they already have their own dynamic in what they were doing on a previous team. And then trying
right,
to gel with LeBron, who has never played with Melo outside of the US team. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that work? And you're in a later part of your career too. So you've already had these different things that you've done across the course of your career, right? You've gotten pretty accustomed to some things that you've adjusted your game to and whatnot. Like you're not at a point where you're growing. You're either here and you're staying here, or you're slowly doing this.
right.
There is no upside anymore. The upside's already happened. You've peaked. You've peaked at this
hmm
point. It's different. So I see these guys. I'm like, yeah, y'all are great players. No one's arguing that. But together, it just don't look like it's working the way people thought it was going to be. This is beyond super team. It's like you're trying to put together this like Megatron effect, and it's just not going to work. I mean, especially not in basketball. Golden State got lucky when they did all that because with them,
That
they
was a
had a
draft. That
yeah,
was to
that was the
that was a
draft,
draft with certain moves made. Like,
yeah, and they
and that's
needed
my
that.
thing. And that was my thing. Everybody, and don't get me wrong. Let me be clear on this too. Don't get me wrong. The Warriors were a great team for that run,
Yeah,
but that was all Mark Jackson's doing because he built that team. He drafted those players, and he made them play together. They had to gel. You know,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
there were a couple small deals here and there, but outside of that, that was basically a draft built team. And on top of that, nobody was forced to gut a team or gut half of the team just to get those guys over.
Right, exactly it.
So what I'm we need to do some deeper digging on this because I want to know who said that. I want to know what NBA executive said LeBron wants to go back to Cleveland or LeBron belongs in Cleveland because now with that out there, now it's like, what does he know or what do they know that we don't know? And I'm not saying we as journalists, I mean we as NBA fans, we as other NBA teams. What does he know, or what do they know that we don't know? And how is this going to play out? So I'm interested to see how this year, or how the rest of this season plays out, because I honestly believe if the Lakers, who are sitting at sixth right now in the conference, if they nosedive, or they don't make the playoffs, or they don't make the Western Conference Finals, what is this going to do for next season?
Yeah, that's the difference, man. I feel like it's something we definitely should follow or figure out, what this dynamic would look like, or if it's something that actually would happen. I know for me personally, I would love for him to have the opportunity to retire here.
Mhm.
Starting out here, you've been here the longest of all the teams you played for, and to finish it out here would be like a dream, to be able to see that happen.
I'd actually
But
want to see him play with Bronny one season.
yeah, I think that should be like the ode to it. Like, okay, I'm gonna hang on for that moment to be able to have the opportunity to, ball with my son, and then that's it. You know what I mean? So I think that would be cool.
And we'll see. We'll definitely see. All right, moving on from the NBA to your favorite topic. And tomorrow, it's a damn rematch of a couple years ago. Georgia and Alabama, the Tide versus your dogs, because clearly you got the hoodie on, I'm sure. Uh, what are you expecting from this national championship game?
So there's a couple things, and what I will say is like this. So the difference coming into this game is Georgia, for once, has the talent in all three aspects. So the offense, defense, and special teams is definitely ready for that. The problem is, though, it's going to come down to the coaching, because at the end of the day, these two teams, when you look at them like side by side, like talent wise, you'll say, okay, Georgia has an upside for once. But like when it comes to the coaching aspect, Saban by a landslide. And you're kind of like, all right, well, this should be interesting. And of course, when you have someone that comes from underneath your umbrella of coaches that you've scattered out, among the conference still and then some other conferences outside or whatever, it's like you kind of know mentally what they're going to do or try to prepare for, how they're going to go about, taking on this game. So I feel like the difference is that it's going to be a situation where Kirby is going to have to put a little bit more trust into his staff
All right.
to say,
I was
look,
thinking
man,
that same thing.
you got this, you got this. Because the thing is, his issue that he's had since he's arrived there, he's tried to overshadow everything, right? We knew you came into the school with a defensive mindset. We saw the defense that you put together when you were at Alabama. There's no dispute there, right? You come into the Bulldogs and you do the same thing. The defense is up to where we expect it to be, but you have more of an old school approach. He had to adjust his whole, outlook on how to balance the offense, bring the right guy in to be able to get that going. And then that finally happened. Cool. And then you saw for the first season in a very long time, they're a team that throws the ball. You're like, oh my God, what is this? What is
Right.
this? Because all of a sudden you're a team averaging 400 yards a game and you're throwing up 250 of that in the air. You're like, okay, not what we expect, right? So I think the difference is they need to trust their game plan. They need to trust the coaches to do their jobs. And the players have to go out there and not be so mentally involved in it. I think what we saw last time was it was like a mental slip, and they were trying to do so many things to incorporate guys who hadn't played all year, because this is the first time that they're actually going to be at full strength the entire season.
Yeah,
You
they've
had
had
guys
2 weeks.
like,
They've had 2 weeks off essentially,
yep,
beating on
yeah,
Michigan. And
hmm
you know what? I saw this over that stretch of games between the semifinal games,
hmm
and I kept seeing Cincinnati don't belong there. Cincinnati this, Cincinnati that, Michigan this. Okay, understand people. The way this playoff is set up is that there are going to be 4 conference champions in at least 3 out of the 4 in the top 4 are going to be conference champions.
Correct.
Let's just throw that out there. Big Ten, SEC. This year was the American Conference, and then Michigan. Michigan got in on a win because they were the Big Ten champ. Between Bama and Georgia, somebody had to lose, but you knew they were the second best team in the country, so one of them was getting in automatically. Right. It just so happened to be Alabama. Georgia was already there. I get it. But to say Cincinnati didn't belong there, you got to understand, this was a big step for the playoff. And This was a big step for everybody's argument on why there should be an expanded playoff.
Oh yeah.
And what I mean by that, for those watching, what I mean by that is everyone keeps saying they're sick of seeing the same 4 teams here: Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, whoever else is behind that. Who else has been better? I'm not being funny when I ask you. I'm not asking you this question because I already know you know. But who else has been better since 2014? Since the playoffs started in 2014, who else has been better than those 3 teams? Georgia, Bama, OSU. I tell you, yeah, go ahead.
And that's the biggest question, and it's a matter of who's been better and who's been consistent. Nobody's been consistent. Like the 3 teams that you named have been very consistent. They've either gotten better or they kind of stayed where they are. There never has been a drop off, right? All the other teams is like, well, you got this one really, really great year, and then you don't hear from them again. Or
LSU.
they're like, right, thank you. Prime example, right? So they come in, they win the title, and then they're trash. It's so annoying because they do that all the time. They do that all the freaking time. They come in, they do that, and they're like, "Oh, we can't see you for 5 years again."
There you go. So to the people watching, that's my question: who has been better than those 3? You know why that question has been asked? Because that's what's been happening. You had here's the top. Here was the top 4 teams that year. I believe it was OSU, Oregon, Bama, and I want to say, was it Georgia? Can't remember.
For which one?
The first semifinal, the first playoff, 2014.
The first semifinal, I don't know that Georgia was a part of that.
I'm looking it up right now.
Because I know that Bama was there.
It was Bama, OSU, Oregon, and Florida State. Now, let's fast forward from the 2014. Yeah, let's fast forward to the 2015, that was 2013, 2014. So here's 2015, 2016. It was Clemson, Oklahoma, Bama, Michigan State.
Oh, that's when Clemson started.
Yeah. But there's a consistent in there. There's a consistent. So let's go to 2016, 2017. It was Bama, Washington, Clemson, Ohio State. Keep with me. We don't hit till we get up to this year. This is 2017, 2018. Clemson, Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma. This is where Georgia came back and won in 2 overtimes.
And this is when the Pac-12 fell off.
Right. 2018, 2019. Bama, Oklahoma, Clemson, Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
You're following me. You're following me. I know you are. That just let me know. This is 2019, 2020. LSU, Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State. Now here's 2020, 2021. Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State. And here's 2021, 2022. Bama, Cincinnati, Michigan, Georgia. Do you see where that's going?
Mm-hmm.
So, for the people watching, the people that are gonna watch, here's my ending to this argument. Who has been more consistent than Alabama? Who has been more consistent than Ohio State? Because Ohio State's been in 4 out of 6 of those?
Yeah,
7?
4 out of 6.
Yeah, 4 out of 6. Who's been better than Georgia? Because Georgia's been in 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 6. So they're 50%. Who has been better than the SEC and the Big Ten in the college football playoff since the college football playoff's been started?
Man, what? Nobody. Because the thing is,
That's
like,
my
because the ACC has had only representation from Clemson primarily, and then you had the one from Florida State because that was the year after Winston got drafted
right.
because they were the previous national champions, and then Winston was drafted, and then they had one more like decent year, and it ain't been the same. And then Clemson comes in and rolls over all of them in that whole conference.
So that's my point with this. You needed Cincinnati for this.
Oh yeah,
You
absolutely.
needed Cincinnati, and the reason you needed Cincinnati is because, in all honesty, let's look at the reality. The committee was not going to even think about expansion until Cincinnati popped up.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that they weren't going to do it was because they already knew. It wasn't about who they had in their mind or who they really wanted to go. The reality was, who the hell else is better? Who's better than Ohio State? Michigan
True.
has this one year where they went and did the unthinkable and dropped Ohio State. Congratulations. Michigan State did the same thing and got stomped.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon thought they was doing something when they got into the first one, and then they get past Florida State. Let's be honest, Florida State was on a down year anyway because they had just came off winning the BCS. Half that team is gone because they graduated. So they got lucky in the ACC. Congratulations, you got stomped, and you haven't been back since.
Nope.
And I'm not speaking about a Pac-12 representative. I'm going to talk about that specific team in general. Oregon has not been back to the college playoff since 2014. So, again, you needed Cincinnati because now the expansion can speed up. Because now all these teams that you say should be in, now they got a case. When Cincinnati got in, Cincinnati got stomped by Alabama. No, they didn't. Look at that
No, they
game
did
again.
not.
No, they didn't.
Bama had to work for that.
Cincinnati did not get stomped. Cincinnati's offense was not as strong as Alabama's defense. Cincinnati's
Yep.
defense was just as good as Alabama's offense. They got multiple 3-and-outs. They had multiple turnovers. And on top of that, it wasn't like it was a real blowout. That game, Alabama had to work to score 20-something points.
They worked the whole game.
It wasn't like that game was over. Yeah, thank you. That game was not over at halftime. They worked to score 27 points. Think about that.
I mean,
people.
they had to try. They had to try.
If you're Alabama, supposedly the SEC is the best conference in all of college football. But here's the problem with that conference that nobody wants to pay attention to. There is no defense that is better than Alabama's, that is better than Georgia's. Dare I say, maybe Texas A&M's. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
Because those are the only 3 teams that give Alabama hell.
The only one.
Texas A&M is the only school that has beaten Alabama more than once in the last 10 years. Georgia, you only see if Georgia and Alabama play during the regular season, honestly, wins. But because they only play in the Alabama's prepared and they have time to prepare for Georgia. Now, outside of those 3 teams, who else is better in the SEC? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
Now, think about this, and I'm gonna close my Not on this. Think about this. When you watch Big Ten football, there is always a legit. There's always a dogfight between whoever's playing, whether it's O State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Illinois. Illinois is the bottom of the barrel in the Big Ten, but I guarantee you they give hell to any SEC team not named Georgia, Alabama, or Texas A&M. And keep in mind, Texas A&M ain't even an SEC school, an OG SEC school. They're a Big 12 school that moved to the SEC because they got tired of being out-recruited by Texas and Oklahoma.
Yep.
Now they moved to a conference where they were supposed to be a doormat, and yet they're the only school in that conference that actually has beaten Alabama more than once in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And they have to see them because they're in the same side of the conference.
Mississippi State too, but Mississippi State's hit and miss, Dave. They're hit and miss. And the only reason they're hit and miss is because you know how the SEC is. It's up and down in one division and it's all up in the other division. So I'll give you that one. But for all intents, yeah, for all intents and purposes, yeah,
that the SEC has been in a very long time.
Yeah,
man,
but it's only
wow,
man. Just imagine, think of if this was 1998, 99, 2000, 2001 SEC. Everybody and the college football playoff was in effect then. Everybody would be correct. Everybody would be correct.
There's a lot of times back then. Oh my God.
Because from top to bottom back then, top to bottom, the SEC was the shit. But 2021, 22, that's not the case. It's now the Big Ten, and people don't want to understand that. I get it. You love SEC football. Some of the greatest generational and current generational players of our generation have come from the SEC. Peyton, Eli, Mac Jones, Derrick Henry. But they all came from two schools. And yes, Dave is absolutely correct. The Big Ten has always been more competitive. The problem is the reason the Big Ten had problems in bowl situations was because we sucked at coaching. John Cooper was a prime example of that. John Cooper had some of the best teams.
Oh man.
He had national championship squads, but they always fell either to Michigan or in the bowl game. And the one chance that they did have to win the national championship, they couldn't get past Florida State. So, to close out this argument, let's keep it in perspective. The committee is put in a jam now because now they know there is a problem that they got to address. And that problem is they need to explain the playoffs because Cincinnati was for real. They were for real last year. They tired of y'all shit this year. And I hate to say it like that, but if you look at the body of work, it's true. How many teams not named Ohio State, Bama, Florida State, USC, and whoever else in the Power 5 conference have gone into Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame soundly? It don't happen. So when you saw that, if you're a committee person, once you saw that, you knew the writing was on the wall that they're going to have to expand it. And now that expansion is moving forward. They're trying to bullshit around it, but it's moving forward.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because I saw reports about that and how they were saying that they wanted to, go ahead and give the automatic bid to every Power 5 conference winner was one of the things they were considering. And then from
there, go ahead. I like that idea.
I do too, actually. Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, let's see you earn your name then, right?
Yeah, might as well.
Like, okay, this is your top from this school, from this conference, from this conference, from this conference. Okay, let's go ahead and do it.
If you expanded to 6, if you expanded to 5 or 6 to 8, you got 5 automatics and 3 at-larges. And we've all seen. Yeah, I'm with it. And here's the thing with that. Because now once you see that, you already know You got a Big Ten representative. You got a Pac-12 representative. You got an SEC. You got an ACC, and you got a who is that? Big 12. See, that's my point. I forgot the other five conference, the other Power Five.
And
But
actually, it sounds very exciting to me too, because let's say you have representatives from those five conferences, and you got three more at larges, right? Okay, now you got a situation where those moves happen faster too. So remember the proposed move of teams from the Big 12 to the SEC and the ones that are supposed to be joining the Big 12, right? So now you get those, BYU, Cincinnati's coming down to the Big 12. Then you got the other
I
ones
still
moving
don't.
over. And
I still
then,
don't agree with that move. I agree with the premise. I don't agree with that conference
right.
move.
And I'm with you on that, right? But then let's just throw out some random names, just to create a scenario for people if it was like 8 teams, right? So I'm gonna be nice and I'll put this out there like that. Let's say your SEC representative is Bama. Let's say your Big Ten representative is, Ohio State. Your Big 12 representative, and let's say the alignments have changed, right? So let's say your new Big 12 representative is Cincinnati. Then let's say your Pac-12 representative, God, I don't even freaking know. I'm just gonna say Oregon because they've been in the mix a little bit more than anybody else in that conference. And then let's say your other one for the ACC happens to be, I don't know. Let's just have a fantasy here and say Notre Dame because they finally joined. Right?
Yeah, that'll
So
be the
you have
name.
that. So you got those teams. Then let's say you're at larges, right? Okay. Let's say you're at larges. One of them ends up being Wyoming. Then
Man, don't
let's
even
say
play
you're,
like that.
oh, I gotta do it. This is the beauty of what the
I
at
get
large
it.
will look like,
I get it.
right?
I get it. But I'm just saying,
Then,
don't even play like that because now you're stirring the pot.
oh yeah, I got to, man. Oh, here are my other two teams. Let's throw a Mac school in there and say Toledo or Central Michigan. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to spend nobody. My bad. Let's keep it real. Northern Illinois has been ruling the MAC forever. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Cool.
Right?
Northern Illinois, go ahead with that. All right. Here's your last team. Uh, hmm, All right. I don't know. Let's go ahead and say Boise State. Screw it. Screw it. Screw it. So you create a scenario like this, right? Looks crazy. Looks real crazy. But
It does,
this
but it's
is the
possible.
excitement that you get if you allow for something like that to happen. You know, that changed the dynamic of the recruiting process as well. Because here's the thing: when people go to Bama, right, or let's say Georgia, whoever, there are some that are looking to win. There are some looking for exposure. Okay, so now when you have teams that are in the mix that weren't allowed to be before, that definitely changed it because what do I look like as a top player going somewhere like Bama, knowing I might not start if I know I can go to Cincinnati and be on the main stage still? I'm gonna go to Cincy. So I know I'm gonna get that spot, and I know I'm gonna get that time to be able to be at a school that's gonna appreciate me and allow me to play and do my thing instead of me riding the
Very
bench for
well.
3 years and waiting for my turn during my redshirt sophomore or my junior year. I can play out the game. You know what I'm saying?
Well said.
And
Well said.
so that's my thing, man. So for me, I'm all for that. Let that happen. And I was so happy to see what Cincinnati was able to accomplish. I was hoping for a rematch with them. It didn't happen because of how it got set up. I get that. But to see what they did against Bama was very promising. That was very, very promising, right? And the thing is, they tried. Both teams were trying. You can see that. There was
Hmm.
no, oh man, they goofing up or choking, whatever. Both of them came with it, you know? And to see them have to work for them 27 points, I was like, yep, this is a turn of events right here. Now, what I don't like,
Exactly.
though, is that quarterback is his senior year. So I kind of wonder, like, next year what that's going to look like. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. We'll follow that. But it was just cool, man. I was excited about it. I'm like, man, they're going to let the man
And
go.
here's This is a very good question, Dane. And here's my personal opinion on this. He asks, why does the lower levels thrive in a true playoff format? Because there's no money involved. There's no big money involved. All that money is coming from ESPN. There's no
Mm-hmm.
sponsors for those playoff games. I
Yep.
went to the Slippery Rock Notre Dame College playoff game. There was no TV. There were no big cameras. There was
Mm-hmm.
no ESPN truck. There was no Fox Sports Net truck. That was all that stream that we watched, to get the play by play. That was all them. That was a school function in essence. So that's why they thrive. There's no, you really want to win, you're gonna beat that. You have to beat everybody in the country. You start in your own state, Division Two, they got more money than Division Three, but in Division Three, you start in your own state. You make it out your state, we'll see how you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer. There's no big money involved.
Absolutely. But to go back to your, original question, man, it's hard to say, what'll go down tomorrow. It's going to be one of those situations where I feel like it's Georgia's game to lose. If they come in and play the game that they've been playing all year, with the exception of what Bama was able to do with them in the SEC championship game, they can pull it off. They're not a team that's built to play from behind. That's just facts. Regardless of what these stats say, regardless of how they have played all year, how they dominated on the defensive side of the ball, they are not a play from behind team. They are not. That's a harsh reality. That's true. They got to get ahead of you early. If they get ahead of you early, they do a better job of maintaining the lead than they would if they were down by 15, 20 points, which was what we saw in the SEC championship game. They played from behind. They showed some poise. They tried to do their thing in the second half defensively, but offensively, it just still wasn't there. So the thing is, they don't know how to play from behind. Bama, if they get ahead, it's the same scenario. They know how to maintain that lead. You can't give them that. And you also cannot make mistakes. They
Hmm.
capitalize on mistakes. That's always been a thing. Regardless of the level of talent they have, when there's a mistake out there, they're going to figure out how to score off of that, or at least
Right.
to figure out how to get in position to score. So you cannot make
That's
mistakes.
and
Those
that
are
is
two things
true.
I take from
That
that.
is
And
true.
that's why I'm kind of like this, right? That game, even though the talent level is a little bit more lopsided for the once in a while, it's still going to be more evenly matched. They're not going to underestimate each other. I definitely expect a better game than we saw a couple of weeks ago, but it's hard to say who will come out on top. I feel like, it's either going to be one of those situations where if you see Georgia get ahead and they score like 20 something points in the first quarter, that's over with. If they don't do that though, and let's say this drags out to where it's like a 1 point difference, or not 1 point, one score difference, 3 point difference at the halftime or whatever, then you're going to be set for a more exciting game. So, if the ball's in their court, man, it's like, can they do it? I don't know. I guess
We'll
we'll
see.
find out. You
We'll
know,
see. I
find
honestly,
out.
to close this part out, because we got one more topic. To close this out, I honestly think that this is I even with the loss in the championship game, the SEC, the conference championship rather. I think this is Georgia's year. I think they finally end the curse. So we'll see. But my hope is that Georgia finally ends the curse of Herschel Walker.
Man, oh my gosh, that guy. Ooh, oh man,
Uh,
great player, but I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't.
Never mind. My bad.
It's all
Moving
good,
on.
man.
Moving on. Moving on from the NCAA and the national championship. It's playoff time in the NFL. Let's look at reality here. I'm going to start with the 49ers and the Rams game because that was the game that had just ended before we went on the air. How the hell do you lose, still win the division, and still make the playoffs? Who I'm talking about is the LA Rams, as the Rams lost in overtime to the 49ers. The 49ers get in, but the Rams, because the Cardinals end up losing to Seattle, the
Mhm.
Rams win the division and get a spot in the playoffs. How does that work?
I don't get it. I really don't get it. I have no idea how that scenario played out that way. I don't know if there's a bunch of lopsidedness back and forth. Or you know what? You know what? No, that still wouldn't matter either because Green Bay was already in it, even though they dropped one in Detroit today. I don't
I mean,
understand.
they had already locked everything up though.
They already locked it up. They locked the division up and the spot and the first week bye. I don't even
Yeah,
understand how this is even possible. I don't. I'm sorry. I have nothing.
they're dropping the. Once you've done all of that, the only thing you need to do is get Aaron Rodgers that first preseason rep. In a sense, just send him in for that first series, see how he do. He go down and score. All right, man, you got to go. Come on, take his helmet. Kiss it goodbye. And it's not even the fact that I don't think what bothers me is the fact that they got in. It's the fact that you lost, and because somebody else lost, you still won the division and got in. Like, okay, I can see you losing, somebody else losing, you get in. I'm used to that. I'm not used to this. Oh, we lost, but then somebody else lost, so that gives us a division, and we end up getting the division and going to the playoffs. That made no sense to me. But with the 17th game, these divisional games were more important than anything.
That was the thing, man.
Yeah, these division games were so important, which is why technically I feel like, I know this sounds dumb, but I feel like the Browns won the division.
Man, it's crazy.
Because think about it. They went 3-3, but 3 of those wins or 2 of those wins came against the division champ. So they swept Cincinnati for the second year in a row, and then they got swept by Pittsburgh. You split with Baltimore. So,
it's a lot.
It is what it is, I guess.
But here's the funny part about that. And it's so wacky even talking about like the Rams and the 49ers situation. But even looking at this current game going on between the Raiders and the Chargers, you have a scenario here where Pittsburgh could be in. And then in addition to that, the fact that Miami beat the Patriots today, now the Bills have won a division and they're in. You know what I'm saying?
And the Patriots still got in.
The Patriots still got in. You're like, bro, what's going on? It was so lopsided. At the end of the day, those 4 consecutive losses, right? Or should I say 5? So for the Ravens, right? When that tanked, that was one thing that happened. And then in addition to that, the Colts losing to the Jaguars, that helped a lot. That was a big push for whoever was trying to get in. Oh my gosh. I saw that. I was like, the Colts lost that game. I'm like, bro, what happened? So they fall.
That would have helped the Browns that they won.
Man, ain't that? See, that's what I'm saying, man. But you know what? When they lost to the Raiders, that to me was the nail in the coffin. I was like, that was the game we were not supposed to lose. That game that was it. That was it. Because you wasn't beating Green Bay. You wasn't beating Green Bay. But you can't lose. You could not lose the AFC games. So we not talking about this. We talked about this. You can't lose them AFC games, especially a team that's one game ahead of you, and you drop that. Okay, so now you have a 2-game split, and then you lose to Green Bay, and then you go in and you lose almost lost the last 2.
And what's crazy is in the NFC, it's going to be an NFC West dominated playoff because 3 out of the 4 teams are from the NFC West are in the playoffs.
Crazy.
The team with the most behind them is the NFC East with Dallas and Philly. And Dallas looked like they on the mission after watching them beat the brakes off Philly last night.
Bro, and I'm here for it. I ain't even a Cowboys fan, but just seeing the comeback of Dak Prescott, bro, I am here for it. Let that happen this year, man. Let this be the year it happens. Oh my God. Man. I would love to see them knock Green Bay out, bro.
I would love to see them knock Tampa Bay out. And everybody's that's the crazy part about it. That's the crazy part because everybody's got to go through Dallas. Or actually, I take that back. Tampa Bay, or was it? Is it Tampa Bay or is it Green Bay?
Green Bay. Green Bay got advantage.
Okay, yeah, Green. Okay, so everybody's got to go through Green Bay,
Ooh, Green
but
Bay.
in my mind, and this is just me speaking on personal opinion, everybody got to go through Dallas. Did you see 5 touchdowns?
They not playing, man. They not
He is
playing.
to say this man is pissed off is an understatement.
And they defense, like to see their defense make that 180 from a couple years ago. Oh my
Man,
God, man! Like,
it is not a
it's
game. It is not a
they're
game
not
to him.
fooling.
He is real.
They are
He is
not fooling
real.
with nobody. They are not fooling
So
with nobody.
as much as I love the Rogers commercials where everybody getting his discount, you better not put Dak in that commercial because Dak gonna mess that whole commercial up.
And he better not go into that game thinking he the man either, man. He better come ready to play. There ain't gonna be no easy game, man.
Right? Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God, stay ready,
Okay.
man.
So next weekend we got the crunch and we got playoff opening round of the playoffs. We won't see what the matchups look like now, but when we finally get the seeding after tonight, will you have a better prediction of what's going to happen in opening round weekend?
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely for sure. I gotta see how this stuff plays out, man. I feel like
Now, Dame, you done played against backups too, and I've seen you throw for 5 touchdowns, so it really don't even matter at that point. The fact still remains, he showed up, he showed out, and he ready for the playoffs. I don't care what nobody say. 50 points is 50 points in an NFL game. I don't care if it's against backups, somebody grandma, or OJ Simpson's lawyers. 50 points is 50 points.
you know what? This is something I didn't even think about, man. Did Cooper Cup break any of those records he was going for?
I don't remember them saying anything about it, but since we're on that topic, we can look it up.
Because I know for me, I was, trying to watch that real close because the irony in this situation is the records that was established by Megatron. It's so funny, like it's coming back full circle because here you have a situation where the quarterback that was playing with him is Matt Stafford, and then now you got the same quarterback playing with Cooper Cup. You know what I'm saying? Chasing that record. That's great.
I
That's unheard of. You don't hear
I
about that
don't
kind of stuff.
I don't have an
Ooh,
answer. It doesn't look like they've updated. It don't see that. It doesn't say that they
I don't
did.
think he made
But
it.
hey, now that you say that, you got me thinking Megatron might call him. Hey man, don't be fucking up,
Cause my thing is, he definitely hands down was, probably offensive player of the year, obviously, right, in the NFC. Um, and the thing is, seeing that, the same quarterback can get you there is pretty cool. I think that in this game, what ultimately happened was it felt like they were definitely trying to force it a little bit too much to Beckham. And they did, get picked
and
off
you
a
see
couple
what happened at the end of
times.
the game.
Yeah, yeah.
You see that cost him. You
When it's
see
there,
you
it's
see
there,
that
but
cost
when
him.
it ain't there, it ain't there.
Yeah, and that's fine. But
That's cool.
overtime, but overtime, you're trying to win. You're trying to make sure you're securely in. You
Mm-hmm.
don't force nothing. You drive down.
Nope.
You have to. You
Yeah,
have to drive down the field because you forced it. It got picked, and you see what happened. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about before we got out of here because you saw San Francisco's defense, and that's to me, that's the telltale point of the playoffs for every NFC West team. You
mm-hmm.
can't give up a lead. You had a 17-point lead. You can't give that up.
Can't do it.
Number one. Number two, if you looked at it, San Francisco's defense the last 4 weeks have turned up week by week. And this week, it got them a playoff spot. I don't think that this is the team that you really want to play right now in the playoffs outside of Dallas. I don't think this is a team that you want to see because if that defense turns up anymore, somebody getting hurt.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. Definitely agree with that. You know what? I have one final question for you, and it's something that I have wanted to talk to you about. So, looking at the scenarios that we see play out throughout the NFL, looking at
Right.
the whole like reunion of college QB with top targets from that same school. So, for example, seeing what they were able to do with Jamar Chase and Burrow reuniting, seeing what they were able to do with Tua and Waddell reuniting, that was a pretty dope move on both ends. I didn't think that was going to work out because like stuff don't always translate that way, right? Especially when you go to the next
True.
level. My question is, do you think that same dynamic would have happened had CD Lamb ended up in either Cleveland or Arizona with their former quarterbacks?
No.
Because he got
If
them
he
both behind him.
if he ends up in Cleveland, no. If he ended up with who else? Bryce Young,
Arizona.
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 Kyler. If
Mm-hmm.
he ends up in Cleveland, no. If he ends up in Arizona, strong possibility. Reason being is because CD Lamb is that type of receiver. He's more than a possession receiver, and he's more than a deep threat receiver. He's that balance.
Yep.
And you don't get that a lot nowadays. You either get one or the other. Like Keyshawn. Keyshawn was a balance. He was a nut. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say he was a nut bar. He was a mean a-hole on the field. And he had to
Yes.
be. He had to be. And Keyshawn, if you ever hear this, I apologize ahead of time. But you were mean on the field. I've never seen you beat up any type of DB than I have when you were with the Jets and with the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, uh, he had to be that type of receiver. With the way the game has evolved now, CD Lamb doesn't have to do that. It could be a situational type of need. Do he need to be a possession receiver? It's third and 8, third and 7, or does he need to be a deep threat? It's a one-on-one situation where ain't no safety help. He can beat him. So
True.
if he's in Arizona with the offense that Arizona has, it's a strong possibility. If he's in Cleveland, I don't think so because that offense is not built around pushing the ball through the air down the field. It's about running the ball and moving off of play action. Two different styles, two different offenses. Cleveland, no. Arizona, possibly.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that too, and just seeing that dynamic of how, Cincinnati was able to make it happen. And the thing is, they did pretty well, like in both ends. They did pretty well in the air and on the ground, respectively. This season, and it was just exciting to see like these young players, be able to come together and say, "Oh man, here it is. We're doing our thing at this level." Kind of like how we thought that dynamic was going to be with, Odell reuniting with Landry and just seeing those kind of things. It's just kind of cool. Or how, going a little further back, we got to see, all the Glenville boys temporarily together on the 49ers, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just a cool dynamic. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's like the pedigree of what's going to work at this level, but when it does pan out, it's just exciting.
Yeah,
It'd be
it
the
is.
equivalent of
It is.
like if
I
you and I
don't
in that situation or
I
whatever. So,
yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's just looking at the player and then looking
mm-hmm.
at the dynamic
The
of the
team, yeah.
offense and the team itself. It's totally different from Cleveland as opposed to Arizona. Cleveland's
Mm-hmm.
got it worse than Arizona because Cleveland's in a tougher division than Arizona. Don't get me wrong. NFC West got three teams in, but by the time that's all said and done, none of those teams are beat up like Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, or Cleveland. There's a big
True.
difference in blue collar football and West Coast football. And
Mm-hmm.
right now, the NFC West is playing a version of the West Coast offense, where your quarterback has the freedom to make decisions as the play develops. Uh, in the NFC and the AFC North, in Stefanski's offense, the play is designed to go a certain way. You can't change it. You can
Mm-hmm.
audible to another play, yeah, but that play that was already called, there's no changing that. There's no no audible on the fly. You have to go with that play because that play is going to develop into another play down the road.
True. Very true.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, folks. That concludes this episode. We'd like to thank Mikey Derezic, Admir Suljevic, and Sammy Mutemwa for being on the show. Members of the Cleveland Crunch. Don't forget that game and the home opener tonight, this weekend, is going to be January 15th. That is Saturday, 7 p.m. Go get your tickets at theclevelandcrunch.com. You can find them on Facebook and Twitter at the Cleveland Crunch. So it's going to be exciting. I can guarantee you that. You might even see some celebrities there. You never know. Oh, man, I gotta send that out to you too, man. I gotta find a way for you to get that what I showed you the other day. But we'll talk about that off the air. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for supporting. Please don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook, like and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, like and subscribe to us on Twitter, Instagram, all of that. I'm having trouble with this Instagram, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're all on there. We do have new content up on our website at the blog 216 Sports Network at blogspot.com. So go on over there and check that out as well. And we will see you guys after championship and wild card weekend. So for 4th and 15, I'm Mel. That's Smooth. Peace.